Stick around for today's gameplay video, but first...
Hello and welcome to Soda Dungeon 2. Just realised how strange a name that is, never said it aloud before. Anyhow, what is it? It's an idle RPG that released last week. Once again I'm playing catch up with the big releases. The original Soda Dungeon was seemingly quite successful, though I've never really been a particularly big fan of these sorts of games. Their simplicity and repetitive nature usually causes me to bounce off them pretty quickly, but in the case of Soda Dungeon 2 I've actually been having a pretty good time with it. First off, it looks really nice. As you can see, it's got that sort of modern pixel art look going for it. The attention to detail on the characters and enemies is really nice, and in general it's just a much better looking game than your average idle RPG. So the two big focuses here I would say are the town and the titular dungeon itself. You'll start off with just the single party member, but by building up and slowly upgrading your town, you'll gradually draw in new types of adventurers who you can then recruit to your cause. When you're in the dungeon, you'll face off against all manner of quite strange creatures. Every 10 floors there's a new boss to take down, and there will occasionally be alternate paths for you to take, with a bit of a risk-reward element to them really, as you don't always know what's lurking within the next room. Combat itself couldn't really be any more basic. You can choose to tap on whatever enemy you want your heroes to attack, but I usually rely on the auto-attack function if I'm being honest. It's not your typical turn-based RPG by any means, and the focus is instead placed much more on just tinkering with your crew beforehand to make it as far as you possibly can. Every, I believe, 20 floors you'll enter a new part of the dungeon. Each new area has its own distinct theme, and they all introduce different enemies with their own unique attacks and debuffs to start worrying about. Back at your town you can build various amenities like a blacksmith and stable, or you can put all your money and resources into unlocking new adventurer types and slowly drawing in a greater number of potential party members to your bar. So every run you'll have to make do with whoever you find inside the pub. Sometimes you won't even draw in enough adventurers to fill out your full party, so it's really important to invest in things like beds and tables so more folks will eventually turn up. You can also unlock new adventurer types by purchasing different types of soda, because they seemingly all like different drinks I guess. You can also buy, craft and upgrade new armour and weapons over time. There's really almost always something to do between each run in the dungeon, and you do feel like you're consistently being rewarded with new and better gear for your efforts, at least at this fairly early stage of the game. I did notice that some of the later items have fairly ludicrous price tags, but I suspect, or rather hope, that your in-game earnings will gradually increase in line with that. Another thing that makes it more palatable for me than your standard idle RPG is its sense of humour. You're not constantly being bombarded with annoying jokes or anything like that, but there is a real tongue-in-cheek feel to the dialogue and world itself. So for example, you keep receiving increasingly concerned, though very polite letters from the Dark Lord whose dungeon you keep hopping into and trespassing in. Just little things like that add a lot more personality to the overall experience. So all told, I've been having a surprisingly good time with Soda Dungeon 2 so far. It's definitely one of the more polished and I would say worthwhile idle RPGs I've played in a while. Even its monetization model is surprisingly well handled, with forced ads only really popping up every few runs. You can opt to remove them entirely if you like with a one-time purchase, and that will also get you some gold and I believe a permanent gold increase. If you'd like to give it a go for yourself, you can grab it now over on the App Store and Google Play. It's also available on Steam. And as you can probably tell, I didn't expect to be recommending this one at all, but it has definitely won me over. It's charming, it's got a good sense of style to it, and as far as idle RPGs go, there are actually several good reasons to keep coming back to it. So, as always, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.